I would like to tell you about our Bavarian experience of our entrepreneurs here in Russia. So why do Bavarian businessmen come to Russia? What can they do in the Russian regions? How can they work here? In order to enhance foreign direct investments, I would like to share our experience, what we Bavarians do in order to foster foreign direct investments. I hope that in Moscow I don't really have to present Bavaria at all. How can I use these slides? All right. I hope that most of you know the Bavarian enterprises that are working actively in the Russian market. 1,700 of Bavarian companies are presented in Russia. This is 1/4 of all German companies, that invested in Russia. Most of you know that German enterprises are actually the largest investors in Russia. Some of the brands, I believe you know much better than even our brand Bavaria, let's say, our regional, the name of our territory. Like you can see here, Siemens, Rehau. Well, in the Moscow region, about half of German companies are Bavarian companies. What is our specific feature? Well, please pay your attention to the fact that here you can see not only large enterprises, but also medium-sized enterprises, and they're especially active in the Russian market. We can say that we cover all the territories from the north to the Black Sea and from the west to the far eastern parts of Russia. So we work in about 83 regions of the Russian Federation. And if we talk about investments and reinvestments on the part of Bavarian participants, they would amount to more than 2 billion euros. Bavarian enterprises created about 25,000 jobs in the Russian market. So why do we go to Russia? What is the expertise we receive here? Please, how can I move to the next slide? I can do that myself, I hope. Well, so why do foreign companies go to foreign countries? First of all, it is market. Bavarian businessmen find here a really large, unsaturated internal market. They can find here people who are eager to work in this market. Moreover, there are huge tax incentives on export duties. Moreover, they can localize their manufacturing in the Russian Federation. And Russian regions sometimes, by the way, for example, when they conduct internal tenders, very often this is one of the most important conditions they place, localization of manufacturing. But I can say that we don't really see that many barriers. So, well, talking about investments, Bavarian entrepreneurs really believe that Russia is a huge market to move to. We can here talk about construction. Very often we can find here local suppliers of quite qualitative construction materials. So that is why I am absolutely sure that we are talking only about growing amount of Bavarian branches in the Russian Federation. So we can say that market conditions are very favorable here, and risks are quite minimized. And here, firstly, we talk about political risks. Then we also can talk about safe investment ratio. Well, if we talk about competition between the Russian Federation regions, Well, surely there are certain factors that make certain regions more attractive and certain regions less attractive. And those factors could be the quality of human resources. When an enterprise decides to enter a market, they have to understand whether they will be able to find people to work for their enterprise. Of course, availability and accessibility of qualitative supply. Also, the opportunities of training and, of course, foreign language knowledge, which is extremely important, I believe, and we have already covered that today. And so this is the infrastructure. Well, surely infrastructure has to be in place so that we would be able to reach the enterprise fast enough, so that we would be able to communicate freely, so that we would be able to establish connection between our mother company and the branch company on the Russian Federation territory. Well, of course, here we also talk about certain challenges. Well, about 99% of our enterprises are medium-sized companies going to the Russian market. I can say that Russian projects very often seem to be especially attractive to medium-sized enterprises, well, of course, to large size as well. So that is why here we're talking about medium-sized projects. Though very often projects, investment projects, are mostly targeted at large corporations. But that is why when we talk about medium-sized business, there has to be a certain interaction between the participants, certain cooperation. I hope you can understand that right now Russian economy is mostly oriented on large-scale enterprises, and unfortunately they are not very interested in medium-sized companies, while in Bavaria medium-sized enterprises are actually the carriers of innovative technology, the carriers of innovative projects. Then, for example, if we talk about moving to a new market, in order to establish a branch, you have to have certain guarantees from your mother company. And I can say that in Russia, unfortunately, we can also talk about quite high interest rates on loans. This is also a very important barrier. In Europe, they are much lower. Another issue is bureaucracy. For example, there are certain, if you need to get a plot of land, in order for you to receive the approval of using it for rent, before you can bring electricity or gas to this plot of land, you need to receive so many improvements, and this is all so bureaucratic. If you talk about technoparks, industrial parks, well, surely it sounds very attractive entering such projects because there would be no constrictions in infrastructure. Well, if you compare to Bavaria, we have about 12 million of population. We are bigger than Upper Austria, but we are so much smaller than the Russian Federation. Then also these difficulties with time zones, also difficulties in different types of infrastructure, a level of development of infrastructure. And unfortunately, this is also a barrier for our companies to enter the market. But once they have entered it, they look for highly qualified human resources. And here we can see huge improvements in the Russian Federation. So, once again, I would like to mention that Russian market is, of course, a very attractive one. We see here lots of opportunities. And once again, notwithstanding all the factors I have mentioned, still attractiveness of the market is the most important thing. You can forget about transport, about logistics, about human resources, but entering an opportunity market is the most important one. So, of course, we are not talking about one-way road here. We are also talking about Russian countries entering Bavarian market. We have lots of Russian companies investing in Bavaria. I know that official figure is about 18, maybe 18 companies, but I'm pretty sure there are much more of them. Oh, well, you could see on the previous slide a number of brands. Most of them work in ICT sector. Well, I've moved somewhere where I didn't want to go. Where should I press? What can I do? I hope that we understand everything you say without even slides, so don't worry about them. So, as I have mentioned, well, IT, construction, consulting, logistics. Right now we have also a very ambitious project on space flights, cooperation in Sputnik navigation, also cooperation with Russian airlines. So you can see that our cooperation with Russian companies is very well developed, and the fact that Russian companies come to Bavaria is a wonderful signal, I believe. So the question is why Russian companies decide to come to Germany. As you can see, Russian companies here receive access to the European market through our territory. So let me try it once again, moving to the next slide. All right, so this is access to German-speaking countries, to European countries. Russian imports can more easily access these markets. They also find here transparency, political stability, legal stability, highly developed infrastructure. They also receive here highly qualified software. Well, of course, another factor is that Bavaria, by being one of the leaders in Europe, of course, it's not a territory where it is inexpensive to locate. It is quite expensive, I can tell you, if you compare it to other territories. But we provide, for the price, we provide you with really wonderful infrastructure. We provide you with innovative technologies in any sectors, pharmaceuticals, chemistry, construction. So you can find here the sectors of the future, let me say so. So we're also paying great attention to interaction between different segments. We have two elite universities, Fraunhofer universities, that deal in technology transfer to economics. In Bavaria, we also have specialized universities that cooperate with enterprises resident in our industrial clusters. So that is why scientific knowledge proliferates really fast within the industry. We have comparatively high salaries. That is why we can attract talent and people who get access to innovative technologies, and that is a wonderful combination. Countries who come from abroad, who invest in Bavaria, they receive curator services. We have a special agency, Bavarian agency, assisting to foreign companies from the very initial stage to move into the market. We provide them with information, we provide them personal services, we provide them information packages that are tailored to the company and to the state at which this company is situated. We can understand that when a company enters an unfamiliar market, they surely can find certain constraints they would know how to overcome. And we provide them with every possible support in their interaction with public authorities. in overcoming any bureaucratical issues. We support them at every single stage, and that is done for free, by the way. So we provide them with this trusted service, let me phrase it so. So we try to coordinate the whole process of establishing a branch, of providing any advising services, receiving approval for work, receiving all the necessary documentation. So the enterprise receives support through the structure of, as they call in Russia, a single window structure. Single window. We have 23 representatives of Bavarian companies in the Russian Federation. And I can say that we have representative offices all over the world. I am trying to move to the next slide, and I don't know how to do that. And there I have a list of all our representative offices. Something, again, is wrong. Okay, now... Okay, all right, I think this one is the right one. Well, for foreign businessmen, we are a place where you can go. We are trying to promote investments to Bavaria on the part of foreign enterprises, and we also promote our companies to move to other regions. You can find us in Tokyo, in China, in Vietnam, New York, Prague, everywhere in the world. We are also present there in Moscow, as I've said. We have Mr. Haro Harin responsible for connections with our territory. So next slide, if I am able to show it to you. All right, here you can see Mr. Haro Harin, who is responsible for our interaction. He is the representative for Bavarian territory. He works here in Moscow. And if you and your enterprise is thinking about locating and residing in Bavaria, you can contact him, and he would be eager to support you and advise you. We also have another contact, Russian-speaking contact, Svetlana Huber, born in Russia. She got married to a German, and now she's eagerly working with Russian enterprises, Russian companies that would like to move to the German market. And we can say that, okay, so if I can move to the next slide, I would like to show you that we are very interested in the Russian market. At the same time, in Bavaria, trust me, you can find a lot of wonderful, beneficial conditions for you. You can find qualified human resources, highly developed infrastructure, so come to us as well. And thank you very much for your attention.